happy birthday to Nick Gurr, if you're watching. Someone in chat wants me to say that. Happy birthday, Nick Gurr.
What did you say?
Happy birthday, Nick Gurr.
All right, we do have also honorable mentions.
Yes.
Someone puts a gun on you, you just have one option. Give them what they're asking for. So here's what I do. I carry a fake wallet, fake American Express, fake Visa card, fake MasterCard. I throw them that. They reach down and they grab for that wallet. Then, you know what I do? I pull up my gun and I shoot them in the face and get my wallet back.
Woo! Brilliant! Brilliant!
What's up, man?
I ain't hit a damn thing. You ain't hit shit.
It be like this sometimes, bro.
You don't have to go to hell. You're in hell. This is hell. This is hell. This is hell.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Then strangled them, and finally dismembered their bodies.
Bright,
then
available.
And homelessness and all that.
And now, the voice you've been waiting for.
There is a secret song at the center of the world, and its sound is like razors through flesh. I'm here to turn up the volume.
I'm kind of retarded.
Doesn't it seem like lately the stories that get put out and the way that they're reported are intended to, on top of everything else, just generally piss people the fuck off? I think it's important to be cognizant of this so that you don't get overwhelmed and succumb to the anger. Or else next thing you know, you wind up like that protester outside the Trump trial in New York. This one I guess you really could call a fiery but mostly peaceful protest. And this got reported on the news like, gee, we really just don't know why he did this.
Start a fucking revolution. Start a fucking revolution. Start a fucking revolution. You've got nothing to lose.
And people that just want to do a little surface digging find pictures of him standing next to Bill Clinton or wearing a Bernie Sanders shirt and go, oh, it's a radical lefty. Everybody just wants a simple little label to put on people. But for those willing to do a little more digging for, say, more than 30 fucking seconds, would find out that it's a little bit more complicated than that. He starts to seem like a guy who was a lefty, but became disillusioned with the whole two-party system because it's a scam. An illusion that's no more real than professional wrestling, which is apparently a realization that some people just can't handle. And I didn't see anywhere on any of the network news coverage of this that he actually had a little manifesto posted to Substack. TMZ actually posted a link to it, and I'll have one for it down in the description. And reading through it a little bit, I found that there wasn't a whole lot that I could really disagree with. The two-party system is a sham. There's a uniparty with very few outsiders even willing to superficially go against it. But deciding that you're gonna start a revolution by setting yourself on fucking fire?
You're a fucking idiot.
Oh, bless your retarded little heart. This is what happens when you let that anger get the best of you. And don't get me wrong, there is fucking plenty to be angry about. Take, for example, the FISA Section 702 warrantless spying powers. The new House Speaker turned out to be just as much of a shitbag as his predecessor, holding firm for a few days before getting a classified intelligence briefing. And then all of a sudden, he's like, oh, well, for national security, we have to be able to continue to spy on Americans, you know, to keep you safe.
When I was a member of the judiciary, I saw all the abuses of the FBI, the terrible abuses over and over and over, the hundreds of thousands of abuses. And then when I became Speaker, I went to the SCIF and got the confidential briefing from sort of the other perspective on that to understand the necessity of Section 702 of FISA and how important it is for national security. And it gave me a different perspective. So I encourage all the members to go to the classified briefing and hear all that and see it so they can evaluate the situation for themselves. And I think some opinions have changed both ways, but that's part of the process. You got to be fully informed.
Oh, so the very same people that stand to benefit from the reauthorization gave you a classified briefing to convince you to do what benefits them.
Ooh, how convenient!
And what a douchebag this guy turned out to be. Oh yeah, we've seen all these abuses coming from the FBI over and over again, but then I went to the skiff and got this classified briefing and it gave me a different perspective. Now I believe that those abuses are a necessary evil. What do you want to bet that that briefing went something like, I know what you did last summer. Would you like to see the pictures, or maybe the high-def video? So maybe you want to reconsider the authorization of our unconstitutional powers, because it would be a shame if these things were to wind up in the hands of the Washington Post, wouldn't it? And the other House members that he urged to go to the skiff and get the briefing? Yeah, they probably got a tailored briefing for each House member to show them what kind of dirt they've got on them. And then over in the Senate, they had a vote to just dismiss the impeachment of Mayorkas without having any kind of a trial or hearing any evidence, to just say, nah, we don't care. They voted along party lines with the 3 independent senators voting with the Democrats. Bernie Sanders, Kristen Sinema, and some dicklicker from Maine named Angus King all voted as a simple 51 majority to say, nope, no trial.
Humans have a term for this. Bad luck and raw deal. And this is some bullshit.
With all of these reasons to be pissed off, it's important to find levity and appreciate the small things. Like laughing at one of the richest men in the world. Allegedly! Being engaged to what can only be described as a goddamn reptile. And this is what that face looks like, fully primped and pampered and looking its best. Imagine what the fuck that looks like when you roll over in the middle of the night and open your eyes.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
This is why I don't understand why people still get facial plastic surgery, because it might look good for a year or two, but then once you start aging just a little bit, you look like... I know they like to say looks aren't everything, but they're not nothing. And in the spirit of that, at the other end of the spectrum, remember that hot little slice of crazy that freaked out on the airplane talking about that motherfucker isn't real?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Well, she posted this picture on Twitter the other day saying, I wonder how many people I'm gonna piss off with this. The only thing I'm a little pissed off about is when people take selfies and they don't flip the image, as I sit there trying to read words that are backwards and I feel like I'm fucking dyslexic. So here, let me fix that for you. That's better. Now I can properly enjoy it. And this ultra-right beer was something that came out of the whole Bud Light Dylan Mulvaney fiasco. I have yet to try this beer, but I appreciate the aesthetic. Like I said, and to quote Zombieland, enjoy the small things. And we've had the daily news updates on what they've dubbed Trump's hush money trial, where the judge has ordered him to stay in New York. So on day 2 of jury selection, he decided to head up to Harlem to that bodega where they had a worker who got charged with murder after stabbing a guy who was attacking him. Those charges got pretty quickly dropped because it was quite obviously a fucking travesty. But Trump goes up to Harlem and gets a goddamn hero's welcome.
I love you, Trump! I love you, Trump! We love Trump! I love you, Trump! We love 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 Trump!
Did I mention this is Harlem? Of course you wouldn't know it from this CBS News article because they just call it Manhattan. And if you read through this whole article, the word Harlem doesn't appear once. When they go into more detail, they refer to it as Upper Manhattan. But Trump goes in there and talks with the bodega workers, and it turned out they had a lot in common, including their favorite basketball team, the Upper Manhattan Globetrotters. And this was a big win in the optics department, so apparently somebody in the Biden camp decided, hey, you should do the same thing. So the next day, Biden was at Sheetz in Pittsburgh and goes in and nobody even gives a fuck. He shuffles in and people couldn't be more disinterested.
The steel tariff. Are you concerned
Don't jump.
Did you just have a brain fart?
What is wrong with you?
There's clearly some dementia. He's not lucid.
He should just be thankful that it didn't go more like this.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for nothing. Thanks for nothing. Fuck you. Fuck you. You. And right here, and fuck you, Joe Biden. Fuck you.
Because that's the welcome he gets a lot of places nowadays. Even in very blue areas. Well, let's check in and see how things are going out in the Windy City.
So, Christmas is coming early this year. We're going to check that list when it go up on that wall for voting, and we're going to check it twice. And we're going to find out who's been naughty or nice based on how y'all vote. And we're going to start it off with Maria Haddon. Yeah.
Chicago and some communities so angry? Why is all this kind of anti-immigrant sentiment coming up? And I want to explain to folks, it's because if we cared as much about black people and had over the decades as we do about everyone else, we wouldn't be here. But the money from a 20...
All right. That would be Maria Haddon. Stepping out there, I see you. Don't get sarcastic because we can get jiggy, right? You set up here for that first 51 million talking about how you feel about black people and how you have to have the same energy for black people, and you ain't never stood on this floor talking about money for black people. You get on this floor and talk about black and brown because you somewhere in the middle with it, right? But I'll tell you this, and I'm telling every other black alderman in here today, you vote for the money for these immigrants today, and we coming for them seats. You can believe that. You're going to stop pimping the black people's plight to get brown people, as y'all call it, money. You're going to give us our press conference up there on the 3rd floor, keep talking to the mayor's boy with the clink clink from his past. That's why he got to do what the mayor say do. Him and a lot of other ones in here with these shady pasts. That's why you got to vote the way that you vote. But all of us ain't got shady passes. Some of us free out here. And we can vote how we want to vote. And we coming for those seats. Now, to align yourself with somebody who's obviously a one-term mayor, if he even makes it that far, you better be worrying about your job. You better be worrying about your longevity. Because we're going to vote and we're going to get you out. Because you ain't doing right by us. That's what time it is. And for your law person that's next to you, I'm going to need you to check out that federal charge that I got against those public administrators over there for messing with black people's property. It's federal case number 23CV14590. All right? And on that note, if y'all don't give us our money for the black community, know this, we getting ready to file a federal injunction against City Hall for benign neglect to the south side and west side. You got that? Boom.
That's not a very good sign for the blue team. From Harlem to the south side of Chicago, their most loyal, most brainwashed voting base is finally turning on them. A lot of people see developments like this and they get very hopeful, very optimistic. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying that you should temper that optimism with the understanding that the Uniparty and the people pulling their strings, what George Carlin referred to as the owners of this country, well, they are not gonna go quietly into that good night. Which is why I'm a big proponent of being zebra-pilled. As far as I know, this is something that I've coined, I haven't seen it anywhere else. And if it actually gets picked up and becomes a thing, I don't even care who gets credit for it, because I think it's more important that people just come to the realistic conclusion that while there is an awakening going on, there's dark forces that will do literally anything to try to quell that awakening. So in a nutshell, being zebra-pilled means that you understand that we've got a really rocky, fucked up road ahead of us, but that doesn't mean that all hope is lost. And while it's important to not be totally black-pilled and just think everything is fucked and there's nothing that we can do, it's also equally important not to look at the positive developments and think that we're winning and that this awakening can't be stopped, because the truth is we're still in a position where it could go either way. And as the owners of this country collapse things all around us to try to traumatize us into submission, it's going to be important to have an accurate self-assessment of your skills and abilities. There's probably a lot of people out there that think, oh, when the shit goes down, I'll just be a warlord. They've watched too many John Wick and Mad Max movies and think, oh, I could do that. When the truth is, over 99% of those people are probably going to be dead the first week. Very few people are going to have what it takes to make it in that role. Everybody thinks that it's basically you're just a military type commander, but it's kind of like being that and the mayor at the same time. It's going to be up to the warlord to make sure that everybody's fed, has water, there's sanitation and waste disposal. There's a lot of responsibilities outside of the just providing security and eliminating threats. You'd be much better off assessing the skill sets that you have to figure out where you're best going to fit into the picture. And if you don't have any useful skill sets, then working towards acquiring some. Of course, things like medical skills are going to be high in demand. You don't have to be a doctor or a surgeon. Maybe you're just a nurse or have EMT training. And the same goes for people with mechanical or engineering skills. They're going to be very useful people to have around when all of a sudden if something breaks, you can't just call a guy. Or if you have the ability to do carpentry. You can barter those skills helping people fix stuff or help to build defenses. Or if you happen to be a plumber by trade, you could be able to put together a rain catchment system or maybe even a jerry-rigged waste disposal. If you can't think of any skills that you possess, like maybe you have a job title like used car salesman or social media consultant, but hey, you've got a closet stocked up with food and water, well, now's the time to get your ass in gear and start learning some shit, cause I can guarantee you those supplies won't last as long as you think they will. Sláinte.
All I have in this world is my thoughts and my words, and I don't break them for no one. You understand? So say good night to the bad guy. 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 Come on. Come on.
bad guy. I told you! Don't fuck with me! 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 You stupid fuck! Look at you now! Look at you now!
Please consider liking, subscribing, sharing this video, or leaving a comment. Because every time you do nothing, Vladimir Putin will shoot another puppy.